Wow. So much to unpack. I did download it as well, Rich, today. I just have not had a chance to review it. But I mean, if for those listeners that are actually watching the podcast, you probably see me cringing at some of that data that you shared, Rich. I mean, it's kind of cringeworthy. The number of or the percentage of respondents that said that they are not tracking their non-billable time. So I'm going to pick that one. That a quarter of them are not using a PSA solution. So how does that work? And then the third one does not surprise me that technicians want the black and white reporting of efficiency and performance. And I'll start with that one first, Rich. That third one, and this is going to blend into, I'm calling an audible on the tip of the week, Rich. I had something planned and you probably saw it in the show notes, but I'm calling an audible. It's going to be tagging on to this reporting because it's critical. So technicians and engineers, Rich, by their behavioral profile, and I've worked with hundreds of my brethren and sisterin that are technicians and engineers because I am also an engineer. That's my behavior. That's my background in the enterprise before I became an MSP and all this. And I've gotten trained and certified on behavioral profiling and things like that. I use this in team building and helping partners hire the right folks, making sure that we've got everybody in the right seats on the bus, moving people around to get their best performance because they're now more aligned with their ideal behavior, they're in their comfort zone. Sometimes we have folks on the team that'll do the job, but we have erratic performance because they're working outside of their comfort zone. And subconsciously, that's a burden, right? It's a mental fatigue thing. It burns you out. So understanding that, and I've done thousands of assessments over the last, call it 20 years, Rich. And so there's a very clear indicator of the natural behavior of a technician versus a salesperson, for instance. They're two completely opposite behaviors, which kind of explains why sometimes there's a little bit of friction, between these two because they are complete opposites. But technicians and engineers are data driven. They are process driven, checklist driven. Sales professionals and folks on the sales team and the customer service team are people driven, right? So they're two opposite ends of how we view things. So that's why I say I'm not surprised that technicians and engineers responded that way is because they want to see the data. They want the numbers, even if because they know that you cannot manage what you cannot measure. And if they are working in a PSA, they are measuring their performance. So that's number three. Number two, one or two, not tracking the non-billable work. That is a hole in the ground, Rich, because when I work with partners, the thing that I hear the most is we don't have enough technicians. We don't have enough technicians. And so I expect to hear that, right? Everybody wants more technicians, but they're throwing bodies at the problem rather than looking at the efficiency and how much they are impacting the technicians or engineers' ability to do that which only they can do, deliver billable service. And what I mean by that, Rich, you mentioned one thing, training. How about all these company meetings? How about, drive time and go back time and redo time because we're not trained properly? We don't have the proper tools to do things right the first time, or we've got junior technicians and engineers that we're asking to punch way above their weight class. And so that causes a lot of inefficiency, right? So we've got to measure how much non-billable time the team is delivering because no one, Rich, believes that our teams are not working their butts off. Nobody believes that they're not putting in 8 or 10 or 12 plus hours when needed. It's what they're focusing on that we need to identify. So let's get rid of all the noise that prevents them from doing the billable work. And I look at two things, Rich. Utilization is kind of this term that everybody thinks measures the performance of a technician or engineer or anybody. I look at utilization as being how many hours somebody works. And then I use another term, Rich, called realization. I may have made these things up a long time ago. I don't know where I got them from, but if I did get them from somewhere, then, thank you for that. But realization is how much time is being applied toward billable work. And sometimes that difference is a chasm. So that's the other thing. What was the last one? I forgot. I said I had three.
A fourth of MSPs apparently aren't using a PSA.
Right. So is that a whiteboard? Are we tracking tickets and showing people how do we do that? Right. We've got to have a platform that allows us to integrate with all of our other platforms that we're leveraging to deliver service to our clients, measure and report on it, and help us analyze how we can improve. Again, it's a tool that allows you not only to integrate things, automate things better, increase your efficiencies through that automation, but also provide us that reporting that the technicians and engineers need. They'll do it themselves, Rich. If they have access to it, they will configure the reports if asked and say, run these reports and report every Monday in our service desk meeting, right? And let's see how we're doing. And now when we see that, then we can start identifying why that realization is low. Utilization may be through the roof. They may be working overtime, right? But when you say, well, what's our utilization? Oh, our utilization is 100%. Well, what's our realization? Like 40%. That's the number I'm interested in, Rich. So we've got to be able to address that, attack it, and create some incentives and give the team the tools that they need. We talk about training and educating our teams. And it's a tough order when they're tasked to bill at a specific rate or a specific, performance level. But it's easier for them to do that when they're not also doing all this other stuff, including admin work. That's another one, Rich. So here's a bonus tip. But I go in and I say, okay, well, what are you spending your time on? 25%, 30% on admin stuff, things that, somebody else could do that does not require a highly skilled, pricey, dragon slaying technician or engineer. Sometimes I'll come in, Rich, and I'll say, well, what you guys don't need is another engineer or technician. You've got 5 of them here. They're all spending 25% of their time doing admin stuff and documenting stuff. What you need is administrative support, not another technician or engineer. Offload that noise to someone else. That is their primary role. That's their role now. And they are more cost effective. They're more efficient at it, freeing up those technicians and engineers to do highly valuable work, projects that bring in high margins and billable labor and serve those clients. And now we can scale much more broadly, keep our clients happier, and then stave off the need maybe to hire that next technician or engineer for a bit. Do it as we grow, as we capacity plan, as we now are identifying the types of tickets that we're getting. That's another reason to use a PSA and optimize it, Rich. I want only tier 1 or level 1 tickets to go to tier 1 or level 1 technicians. I don't want to send them higher level tickets. I want to identify what those things are that can be closed within a reasonable amount of time without having to escalate. I never want to be sending level 1 technicians to level 3 engineers and vice versa. Without a PSA and without reporting and without clearing the noise to allow the technicians and engineers to do that which only they can do, there's no way that we're going to hit our profitability benchmarks and the work-life balance targets that we want for our teams.